I'm Michael Che.
And I'm Colin Jost. And we've got a little secret. Actually, it's a pretty big secret.
Well, now you gotta give the people something.
No, I'm not saying a word.
Oh, then people won't know to tune in. Come on, tell them a little bit.
Like how we're hosting a live comedy event streaming only on Peacock September 12th.
Exactly.
Or how it's called New York After Dark, and it's a comedy show that only features drop-in comics.
Boom, you nailing it, dude.
Michael Che's phone number's...
Whoa, hey.
New York After Dark, some kind of live comedy thing. September 12th, only on Peacock.
You love it.
Oi! This is Sid and Friends in the Morning. 77 WABC.
So you should not be asking me about Israeli politics. 6 Jews were executed. We have student organizations here praising the executioners, and you're asking me about Jewish politics. You should be ashamed of yourself.
I think it's relevant.
If the media is going to listen, then we're going to tell our story and not your story. How are the protests in Tel Aviv relevant to the execution of a Jewish American citizen? And you're asking me about Netanyahu? And you asking me that? You are drinking from the Kool-Aid. Would you ask me about internal strifes within the Jewish world while Hitler was killing Jews in Auschwitz? I'm asking a question, you answer. No, you answer that question, or we're done with the interview. I asked you a question, are you answering the question or not? So we're done with the interview. If you don't play this on TV, then that's on you.
We love you. Stay strong. Survive. Let them go. Let them go. On the south side. On the south side. On the south side.
I love that guy. Shy David Dye. Never met him. He's one of the really smart, outspoken leaders in our Jewish community. And he was at Columbia yesterday talking to these lowlives, trying to find out exactly what they were doing there. Who were they supporting? What are they supporting? I mean, you're standing in front of a school terrorizing Jewish students days after 6 Jews were executed. They didn't die 10-10 wins. They didn't die CNN. They didn't die MSNBC. They took bullets to the back of their head. 6 days later, you're standing outside a school in New York City. Less than 6 days. So good job by Shy David Dye there. I like that guy. He cool. Never met him, but he cool. Rich Lowry is the editor of the National Review, NBC Politico. Does a great job on this show every week. What's going on, Rich?
Not much, Sid. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Not great, obviously. I mean, the news last week was terrible. And, you know, I've been spending the last couple of days going on and on about as if the news wasn't bad enough. Instead of Joe Biden, the United States, the media, instead of all these people blaming the terrorists and Hamas, they are gathering in big numbers in the United States, in Israel, and in idiotic fashion, they have found a way to blame Bibi Netanyahu. I can't believe it, Rich.
Yeah, I mean, this act was unspeakable, infernal. You'd think, all right, we a couple hostages might get rescued. We'll let those go. We still have a lot of others, right? No, but their policy is to murder them as soon as there's some risk that they'll lose control of them. So this isn't like extremists going out on their own and doing this. This is Hamas policy. Hamas brags about it. They're taunting the families, and they're threatening to do more. So there's not many things in life that are so obviously a contest between good and evil, and somehow we're making this nuance or somehow making this about Bibi Netanyahu. It's totally absurd and embarrassing. Now I give Israel, Netanyahu has been prime minister for a long time. He's controversial, and they're Israelis. I give them a pass if they want to go into the streets or whatever. But for the president of the United States to blame Netanyahu for this, it's disgusting. There's just no other word for it.
Yeah, and it's not surprising because, as you know, because not only are you a great guest on this show, but you listen. And I remember arguing with people in Israel, people here, still Jewish people, that told me Biden was pro-Israel. You remember, October 9th, that Monday morning, I said, oh, my God, we're in trouble. He's not pro-Israel. I mean, Donald Trump, pro-Israel. No argument there, no question about it. Did 5 or 6 things to show you that. So I knew back on October the 9th how bad this was going to get. But I'll admit this, Rich, it's actually worse. I had this conversation with Mark Levin a couple nights ago. We knew Biden was no good. And we know Harris is worse. She's worse. But it's actually worse than we thought. How about you?
Yeah, I agree with that. We had this discussion, and I think we agreed at the time. I might have said the good feelings towards Israel last a little longer than you did. I forget, but I was wrong about that if I did. And it's terrible. And, I think the left is just totally infected with this anti-Western ideology that means you're anti-Israel, that you kind of believe in your heart somewhere that these are European settler colonialists that don't deserve to be there and lack legitimacy, and Hamas kind of has a point, right? Most of them don't say that, right? Only the most radical protests will say that, but they believe that somewhere, and it's not getting better.
No, it's getting worse. So Bill O'Reilly just did his morning message here, and he was saying that he doesn't believe that Donald Trump is doing a very good job of delivering the message, which would be his record against hers, which he's right because she doesn't have a record. Mm-hmm. He says he gets too caught up. The latest thing is the Arlington National Cemetery, and he'd be better served spending more time going after her record. Now, you know how I feel about this. We've been over this 1 billion times, but we just played the O'Reilly piece literally moments ago. I don't think Trump is doing a bad job at all. I really don't. And I expect him to kill her come Tuesday night. But yet O'Reilly and others still criticizing Trump. Your thoughts?
I'm probably more with O'Reilly on this one. The Arlington thing, though, I don't think is a good example because what did Trump do, right? A Gold Star family invites him to the grave site of their fallen loved one, and he says yeah and goes and takes some pictures with them, which they want. And then it's made into like a week-long scandal. That's not him. That's the ridiculousness of the media. I do think he needs to be more focused. I'm not as optimistic as you are about the debate. He could kill her, but she's going to be prepared, and she's going to try to rattle him and have a couple moments, where he talks over or whatever, even though the mics are closed. So he's got to be taking this one with a lot of seriousness, and not think he's just going to waltz in and she's going to fall into her face the way Biden did, because she's not.
So what do you think he does then come Tuesday? Because we won't speak before that. And she's going to go on and on about him being a convicted felon. That you do agree with me on. That's all she's got. I mean, she has nothing in her record that she can really fight him with. So she's going to go on and on about what a bad guy he is and how many years she spent putting away bad guys like him. I put them away, bad guys like you. You're not fooling me, Trump, and you're a convicted felon and blah, blah, blah. And then do you expect that Donald Trump will just kind of giggle, laugh it off, and move on? Or what do you expect from Trump? I'm serious. I mean, what do you want the guy to do? What do you expect?
He's going to hit back on hard on that stuff, of course. But that's not – no one's voting for or against him because he's a convicted felon. It's got to be, I'm going to be a better president than her, and this is why she can't be president, and she'd be a terrible president, and she represents an unacceptable status quo rather than the future. That's the case he's got to prosecute. And this debate, I mean, most events in this campaign, we've thought they're huge, and then everything ends up basically tied again. So probably end up tied after this debate, but it's the one opportunity he has for 90 minutes to expose her, right? The media is not doing it. No one else is doing it. He really needs to do it on that debate stage.
How embarrassing is Merrick Garland? I mean, here we are now. We're almost 11 months into the Israel-Hamas conflict. Almost 11 months since Hamas brutalized, raped, tortured, beheaded, put live babies in ovens. They did all that. I don't care what these asshole students at Columbia say. They did all that. All of it. And Merrick Garland just figured it out. I mean, literally yesterday, they filed charges against Sinwar and Hamas. Mm-hmm. That's not a good job. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, well, his entire tenure has been embarrassing. The idea that this guy was the moderate, upstanding Supreme Court justice that Republicans need to buckle and confirm to the court has been exposed as utterly absurd. given the way he's operated. And one of the worst things, of course, is they try to pretend that Jack Smith is not a creature of the Biden Justice Department and is not working with Merrick Garland when he is, right? And this is why the case in Florida was thrown out, because that is a transparent absurdity. He's not an independent entity, Jack Smith. He's a creature of the Biden Justice Department. And this is why all the fact checkers, when someone says, well, the Democrats and Biden administration have gone after Trump, they say, no, you're wrong. What's the evidence of that? Jack Smith works ultimately for Joe Biden and for Merrick Garland.
What do you think about Jack Smith's latest attempt to get back at Trump, trying to circumvent what the Supreme Court ruled a couple of months ago?
It's going nowhere. If that case comes off, and obviously it won't come off if Trump wins, it's not being tried till 2026. And even if he's convicted in 2026, Trump, he's going to appeal, and eventually the whole thing will fall apart. It's just the time and energy that will be wasted fighting it is shocking. And again, if Trump wins, this will be 1 minute after his inauguration, Smith's gone.
Linda's son is an Asian lady who was hired by Andrew Cuomo when he was governor. She worked for Cuomo. And now she's been working for Governor Kathy Hochul. In fact, she's like the deputy chief of staff. She's got a huge position. And we find out now that she's basically an agent for the Chinese. Multi-million-dollar homes in Nassau County, in Hawaii. And Kathy Hochul did what any smart person would do yesterday and said, wow, she betrayed me. Who knew? Curtis Sliwa was in moments ago. He doesn't believe Kathy Hochul. Do you?
I haven't followed it closely enough to know, but one, if this were a Republican, it would be a national scandal, right? Two, the Chinese have undertaken the most massive and successful espionage operation against the United States for decades now. There's basically no industrial secret that we have that they haven't taken and stolen and used for their own purposes. So this is a real serious thing.
How old are you?
56.
56. Okay, you're basically my age. You're 1 year younger. Okay, because I hear this on the show all the time, and that is, we'll wrap it up with this. November, which is now 2 months away, this election, almost to the day 2 months away. This is the most important election in my lifetime. Only a few people, Audie Idala said, they say that every time. But most overwhelmingly say, no, Audie, this is the most important election of my lifetime. If God is good to me, I'll be 58 in April. I do believe that's the case. You're 56. What do you think?
I think 1980 was very important.
Reagan, Carter
to Reagan, yeah.
Right.
So if you get a Republican majority in the Senate, President Harris would be defanged. I mean, he still wouldn't want it to happen for all sorts of reasons. But if Democrats get a trifecta, if they just get a 50-50 tie that'd be broken by Tim Walz in the Senate and a House majority and President Harris, they will do unbelievable things. They'll end the filibuster. They'll pass a sweeping pro-abortion regime for the entire country. They'll pass their federalization of national election laws, but they won't stop there. I mean, Schumer said that's what they'll do, but they won't stop. They'll go to court packing. They could go to Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. estates. Certainly they'll try to do all these things. So if you define the election as not just the presidential election, but the Senate and the House, it's hugely consequential.
It is. Rich Lowry, as always, that's an amazing appearance. Terrific job, buddy. Enjoy the football.
By the way, the Reagan movie is pretty good.
Yeah. It is? It is?
Yeah.
That's Dennis Quaid, right? Dennis Quaid?
Yeah, he does a pretty good. I saw the previews, and I was like, he's not Ronald Reagan. That's ridiculous. But in the course of the movie, you begin to believe it. It's a little standard kind of biopic, a little cliche, but enjoyable and quite moving at times.
Okay, I'm going to check it out. I mean, I'm like everybody else. Every Republican says the same thing. Reagan and Trump, maybe Trump and Reagan. But I'm going to check it out. Thank you for telling me that, Rich Lowry. Great job. We'll talk next week.
The rest of the week.
You too, buddy. There he is, the editor of the National Review. A lot of their stuff, a lot of Rich's stuff ends up in the New York Post. He's that talented. He does everything. NBC, Politico, you name it, Rich Lowry.